For as long as I can remember, I've loved taking care of children. There was something about their innocence, their laughter, and the way they saw the world that always warmed my heart. Being a nanny wasn't just a job for me, it was a calling. I'd spent years building my small business, working with families who trusted me with their most precious gifts. I loved every moment of it, the giggles, the story times, the walks in the park, and even the tantrums. It was my life's work, and I took pride in knowing that I was helping shape the lives of these little ones. But a few years ago, things started to change. I began to notice that I was feeling more tired than usual, my energy was waning, and simple tasks that I used to do without thinking became difficult. At first, I brushed it off as just getting older. But as time went on, it became clear that something was wrong. My body was weakening, and I found myself unable to keep up with the demands of my job. It broke my heart, but I had no choice. I had to stop working. The families I worked for were understanding, but I could see the worry in their eyes as they realized they'd have to find someone else to care for their children. I felt lost. My identity was so tied to being a nanny that when I had to step away, I didn't know who I was anymore. My days became a blur of doctor's appointments and medications, but nothing seemed to help. The doctors couldn't pinpoint exactly what was wrong, but they all agreed on one thing: my body was weak, and I needed to take it easy. Taking it easy wasn't something I was used to. I was a doer, always on the move, always taking care of others. But now, I was the one who needed taking care of, and I didn't like it one bit. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. I watched as the world went on without me. The neighborhood children grew older, new families moved in, and I was stuck in my house, too weak to join in. I tried to keep myself busy with small tasks, reading, knitting, and watching TV, but nothing filled the void. I missed the children, their laughter, and the sense of purpose I had when I was working. The isolation began to wear on me, and I started to lose hope. What if I never got better? What if this was it for me? One evening, as I was scrolling through my phone, feeling particularly low, I stumbled upon a video of a man named Wim Hof. He was talking about his breathing exercises and how they could help with everything from anxiety to chronic illness. At first, I was skeptical. How could something as simple as breathing make a difference in my condition? But the more I watched, the more intrigued I became. Wim Hof spoke with such passion and confidence, and there were so many testimonials from people who had used his methods to heal themselves. I decided to give it a try. After all, what did I have to lose? The next morning, I sat down in my living room, closed my eyes, and followed along with one of his guided breathing exercises. At first, it felt strange, almost uncomfortable. But as I continued, I began to feel a warmth spreading through my body, a tingling sensation in my hands and feet. When the exercise was over, I felt surprisingly energized, more so than I had in a long time. It wasn't a miracle cure, but it was something, and that was enough to keep me going. I started incorporating the breathing exercises into my daily routine, along with cold showers as Wim Hof suggested. It wasn't easy. Standing under freezing water was the last thing I wanted to do, especially in my weakened state, but I forced myself to do it. I could feel my body responding, slowly but surely. The cold seemed to wake up something inside me, something that had been dormant for too long. Around the same time, I came across another name that kept popping up in my searches: Joe Dispenza. He talked about the power of the mind, about how our thoughts can shape our reality, and how we can heal ourselves by changing the way we think. It was a lot to take in, and at first, it sounded too good to be true. But I was already seeing results from Wim Hof's methods, so I figured, why not give this a try too? Joe Dispenza's teachings were all about meditation and visualization. He encouraged people to picture themselves as already healed, to feel the emotions of being healthy, strong, and vibrant, even if their current reality didn't match that vision. The idea was that by focusing on this new reality, you could attract it into your life. I started practicing Joe's meditations every morning after my breathing exercises. I'd close my eyes and imagine myself back at work, full of energy, chasing after the children in the park, laughing, playing, and feeling alive. I pictured the families I used to work for, their smiles as they saw how much their children loved me. I imagined new families coming to me, seeking my help, trusting me with their little ones. At first, it was hard. My mind kept drifting back to my current state, the fatigue, the weakness, the frustration. But I kept at it, day after day. I reminded myself that change wouldn't happen overnight, that it was a process. I had to train my mind to believe that I was already healed, even if my body hadn't caught up yet. As the weeks went by, something started to shift. I began to feel stronger, more alive. The fog that had settled over me started to lift, and I found myself looking forward to each new day. I started going for short walks around the neighborhood, at first just a few steps at a time, but gradually building up to longer distances. I felt the sun on my face, the wind in my hair, and for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. One day, as I was out on one of my walks, I ran into a neighbor I hadn't seen in a while. She looked surprised to see me out and about, and we stopped to chat. She told me about a friend of hers who had just moved to the area and was looking for a nanny. Her friend was a wealthy woman with a young child and another on the way, and she needed someone she could trust. My heart skipped a beat. Could this be it? Could this be the opportunity I'd been waiting for? I didn't want to get my hopes up, but I couldn't ignore the fact that this was exactly what I had been visualizing during my meditations. I told my neighbor I'd be happy to meet her friend, and we exchanged phone numbers. That evening, I sat down to meditate, but this time, something felt different. There was a sense of anticipation, a feeling that something big was about to happen. I pictured myself meeting this new family, feeling strong, confident, and capable. I imagined the mother's relief as she realized she had found someone she could trust with her children. A few days later, I got a call from my neighbor's friend. Her name was Maria, and she sounded warm and friendly on the phone. We arranged to meet at her house the following week. When the day came, I was nervous but excited. I hadn't been on a job interview in years, and I wasn't sure how it would go. But I reminded myself of everything I had been practicing: the breathing, the cold showers, the meditations. I was stronger now, both physically and mentally. I could do this. When I arrived at Maria's house, I was struck by how beautiful it was. The front yard was perfectly manicured, and the house itself was large but welcoming. Maria greeted me at the door with a smile and invited me in. We sat down in her living room, and she told me about her family. She had a 2-year-old son and was expecting another baby in a few months. She needed someone who could help her with the children, someone who could be there when she needed them, and someone who would love her kids as if they were their own. As I listened to her, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. This was exactly what I had been visualizing, exactly what I had been preparing for. I told her about my experience, my love for children, and my dedication to my work. I didn't mention my recent health struggles. I didn't want to focus on that. Instead, I focused on the positive, on the fact that I was ready to get back to work and give it my all. Maria seemed pleased with what I had to say. She introduced me to her son, a sweet little boy with big brown eyes and a shy smile. We spent some time playing together, and I could see how much he loved his mother. It was clear that this was a family that valued love, care, and connection, and I knew I wanted to be a part of it. After we finished playing, Maria and I sat down again to talk about the details of the job. She offered me a generous salary, more than I had ever made before, and she assured me that she would do everything she could to make sure I felt comfortable and supported. I was over the moon. This was the opportunity one had been dreaming of, and it had come to me in the most unexpected way. As I walked home that day, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at how everything had unfolded. Just a few months ago, I had been weak, tired, and hopeless, unsure if I would ever be able to work again. But now, here I was, on the verge of starting a new chapter in my life, with a family that I knew would bring me so much joy. Over the next few weeks, I continued my Wim Hof exercises and Joe Dispenza meditations, even as I started working with Maria's family. Each day, I felt stronger, more capable, and more fulfilled. The children brought so much light into my life, and I found myself smiling and laughing more than I had in years. Word of my return to work spread quickly, and soon, other families in the neighborhood started reaching out to me. They had heard about my reputation as a loving, dedicated nanny, and they wanted to hire me for their own children. Before I knew it, I was juggling multiple jobs, working with families who valued and appreciated me. One day, as I was finishing up a meditation, I took a moment to reflect on how far I had come. I thought about the journey I had been on, from the depths of despair to this place of health, happiness, and fulfillment. I realized that it wasn't just the physical exercises or the meditations that had brought me here. It was my belief in myself, my willingness to keep going even when things seemed impossible. I had manifested this new reality, not just through visualization, but through my determination, my resilience, and my unwavering belief that I could heal. And now, here I was, living the life I had always dreamed of, surrounded by love, laughter, and the children who brought so much joy into my world. As I looked out the window at the sun setting over the neighborhood, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the challenges that had pushed me to grow, for the people who had supported me along the way, and for the knowledge that I could overcome anything life threw at me. And most of all, I felt grateful for the power of manifestation, for the realization that I had the ability to create the life I wanted, no matter how difficult things seemed. I knew that I would continue to use these techniques in every area of my life, not just for my health, but for my happiness, my relationships, and my future. As I got up to prepare for the next day, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. I was ready for whatever came next, confident in the knowledge that I had the tools to create the life I wanted, and that I would always find a way to overcome any obstacle. I knew that my journey wasn't over. There would always be new challenges, new opportunities for growth. But I also knew that I had the strength, the resilience, and the belief in myself to face them head-on, and to continue manifesting the life of my dreams.